All right, so I've been meaning to make this video about creatine use for a long time. Just wanted to really get polished up on it before I kind of put some information out there. I know a lot of y'all don't want to stay around for all the kind of in-depth science, so I'm gonna start trying to maybe summarize at the start of my videos. So if you want the cliff notes, if you trust me, take 5 grams of creatine a day. It'll make you have better endurance for your workouts. You'll work harder and you'll get more gains, okay? So that's like the short version of it. If you want to stick around for some science, that's what we're gonna get into here, okay? So when we supplement creatine into our bodies, maybe I'll first off say that creatine is safe, it's natural. We find it in meat. It has really no side effects of hundreds and hundreds of studies that have been studied about it. The only side effect that's found is weight gain, and that's just due to water, and we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. So it's safe. Don't sit here and fret over it. It's not an anabolic steroid. It's not gonna hurt you. If you eat meat, you're gonna eat some anyways. But supplementing it and getting more in your body, this is what the benefit is. Once it's ingested into our cells, then it gets phosphorylated from creatine to phosphocreatine. And the good thing about this is it becomes an energy donor directly. Okay, so a lot of times when people are asking why it's beneficial to have more creatine in our bodies, it's because it's a direct phosphate donor to ADP to create ATP for energy. So the good thing about that is if we have more stored energy, then we can sustain exercise longer. And so even the highest intensity bouts of exercise, we can now sustain for longer periods of time. And so I'm not at the Mecca today, so I just doodled up a few things. So if you see right here, this is the reaction that's going on here. We have creatine CR, and with the help of creatine kinase, we see how that becomes PCR. And so when we need to create energy, we can take that PCR, donate the P to ADP, and then get ATP. Okay, so adenosine diphosphate now becomes triphosphate because PCR donated that phosphate group. Okay, so it's the primary metabolic fuel for short-term high intensity exercise. So a lot of times I'll hear it thrown around like, oh, creatine's great just because it gives you more water. You know, it's great because now you can keep more carbs in your cells. And that's true, but it is also the primary metabolic fuel for high intensity, short duration action. So it's limited to say that that's the only reason creatine is beneficial. But let's look at what it does do on a cellular level. Okay, so a few things. It does increase cellular swelling, and that's because creatine is an osmolyte. Okay, so again, my lovely drawing. Here is a rough cell here, and creatine is an osmolyte. Okay, so what that means is that it draws in fluid. And so I see on the outside I have CHO, that's carbs, and H2O, water. Okay, so it's also been heavily studied and shown that we uptake more glycogen when we have higher amounts of creatine in our bodies. Okay, so our cells are becoming more full of fluid, of water and hydration, hence the weight gain that comes with creatine. And it also becomes more full of carbs that need to be used for energy. So again, when we're performing our exercises, we now have more energy to perform them properly, okay? And that's a good thing. A couple other things. We got cellular swelling. That creates actually a mechanical response when our cells swell, kind of like with BFR training. It forces them, or it incites a reaction that makes them want to grow because they're swelling, right? So they grow, and that can help our muscles grow. And then it increases satellite cell activity. And what do we got? Some more hydration and carbs. It leads to more IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, which is a hormone. I don't think it directly causes IGF-1. I think what happens is because we can sustain more intensity and create more mechanical tension within our muscles. Now we just see more insulin-like growth factor hormone being released because we put forth the proper amount of intensity to make our muscles grow. So it's not like directly causing that, it's just allowing us to put forth enough effort to incite muscle growth. And that's kind of one of the main things about creatine. One more point, it also buffers hydrogen ions. So that muscle fatigue that we feel when we're burning out and we're doing a lot of sets and reps, that fatigue a lot of time gets contributed to being lactic acid, and it's actually hydrogen ion accumulation. But creatine in the creatine kinase reaction uses those hydrogen ions when it's creating phosphocreatine and then also donating the phosphate group for energy. So in that way, it actually buffers the hydrogen ions. So we have all these ways that creatine just helps us put out more effort and work harder. So we got more hydration, we got direct energy donors from phosphocreatine, we have more carbs, and we're buffering hydrogen ions. So in all those ways, creatine helps us to really just put forth super intense effort into our workouts, and that causes the mechanical stimulus that has to happen in order for us to create muscle hypertrophy. So that's kind of the moral of the story. It enables us to grow, okay? Now, there's also a plethora of benefits coming out there neurologically, for preventing brain diseases, for helping people recover from injuries. So creatine is just literally my favorite supplement out there right now. Specific recommendations. You can do a loading phase. You know, every bottle is going to tell you to do a loading phase, partially because it's going to help them sell more product. But you only need to do a loading phase if you're in a hurry. Okay, so like if you haven't been taking creatine, you got a competition a week from now, you want the benefits, 20 grams per day, take it in 4 different doses of 5 grams, right? And do that for a whole week and then go down to a maintenance level. I read a really good study today on the recommendation for a maintenance level. On the high end, which I would probably prefer, is 0.1 grams per kilogram of body weight, okay? And you take that every day. That's probably gonna fall between 3 and 15 grams for big boys. It's gonna fall in that range, okay? So 0.1 grams per kilogram of body weight. So take your weight in pounds, convert it to kilograms, multiply it by 0.1. That's how many grams of creatine you should be taking per day. Also, a lot of studies showing it doesn't matter what time you take it, okay? You can take it pre-workout, you can take it post-workout, it doesn't matter. Just get it saturated into your system and it'll do you a lot of good, okay? Go take some creatine.